Hello and a very warm welcome to Dusty Shelf Models. Today I've moved inside, much to my wife's disappointment. I've put one of the railways on the dining room table and going to carry on with a little bit of a build. So thought I'd show you what I've been doing and talk you through the next steps. Right, so let's make a start on this video. So this is a project that I started probably a couple of weeks ago. It's something that I've wanted to do for quite a while, which is a Hornby Dublo gauge 3-rail track. So just talk you through the board first of all. So I found some old boards out in the shed from another project that I had left over, these offcuts. Built a frame underneath, screwed these boards to them, the 12mm ply, and you can see the joints and the screws still showing through, but eventually I'll get rid of those. In terms of sort of texturing, what I wanted to do was quite a sort of retro feel for this board. So not your standard sort of glue-on grass or very textured grass. So what I've done, painted the board with an emulsion. That happened to be a black, like a blackboard paint. And then mixed in some sand with it as I've gradually worked around the board. And you can see the different textures running through. To get the colours in there, once it had dried, a little bit of car spray paint on there, so you can see there's some greens here, and then some sort of browns and greys, and just sort of sprinkled that across. And then I've screwed onto the board a dual circuit running all the way round of the 3-rail track that you can see there. And it's I don't know whether you can make it out, but it's on the side here, it's as it says, Hornby Dublo, and you know, made in Britain, which is there you go, large radius track, and then on the other one that's a smaller radius track. So plan today, I want to get an engine running. I will confess I have already run this around the track, so I kind of know that it did work. And then the intention is to start looking at the sidings. I started to build them, and what I want to do this evening is to complete those a little bit more, so that I can have somewhere obviously to have different locos sitting on the layout at any one time with different rolling stock and be able to run them onto the circuit. So I've already put in obviously a point here that runs through down in that direction, goes across a crossover, and then a point coming back the other right way into a reverse siding, and then a crossover point here so that I can run from track to track. So let's, without further ado, let's see if we can get some power running through this. So I've hooked this up to an HM controller. I found the normal Hornby controllers are only giving out 1 amp, and these old engines, some of these, I mean, they haven't run for 30 years, so they're drawing a little bit more juice than the normal controllers would give. So I happen to have a couple of these HM ones sitting on the shelf. So these are giving out 2 amps, and I believe they're just about enough power to get their loco moving. Let that go round again, and while it's heading round, I'm just going to switch over this point here. And these old points are a great mechanism, nice lever there, and you push it right over, and we'll just see if the train will move into the siding. Nearly, no. Okay, so that's the first job. So I'm just going to unplug the controller so I can get past the wire. And we'll move him back a little bit and put him back over here. So one of the things with these tracks is obviously where they've been standing in boxes for years, they get quite a bit of surface dust on. So with the trusty track cleaning pad, just going to run down, and actually you can see the grime coming off there where I've been, and hopefully by cleaning up this circuit should get a clean run down the track. Right, let's give that another try. Just plug the controller back in. Unfortunately, I've got to run an extension lead because, as I say, I've bought the layout inside the house this evening. There you go, much better. So I'm just going to disappear off and get some more track, and I'll be back in a moment. Alright, so here we go. So I've just brought in a few pieces of track. Now the track that I've been picking up over a number of years. Best place if you want to build a layout like this, obviously is eBay. This track comes up very often. It's very cheap most of the time. You know, you can pick up quite a bunch of track for a few quid. It varies in quality. That's the only thing I'd say. Some bits are really good condition, others are absolutely had it, a lot of rust on them. And when you tend to buy from eBay, what I've found is it's a bit hit and miss. You know, you'll buy a bunch of track and there'll probably be a few good bits in there, but equally there's going to be a few bad bits. So it is what it is. But, you know, if you're going to go down this route, I mean, if you have a look on YouTube, you'll find videos that go into 3-rail a lot more deeper than I understand or have done. This is just a project that I actually wanted to do. I've been looking at the latest Hornby Dublo retro range, and I mean, they've just got prohibitively expensive. And as I said earlier, you know, these locos, they're die-cast bodies. You know, some of them have seen better days, but I mean, this, you know, it hasn't got the detail of the latest models, but it's still a lovely little model. You know, it's not bad at all. And then something like this, you know, I probably won't do anything with this one because I think it shows its character from its age. But other ones that I've got, plan is, you know, I'll take them back to bare metal and I'll respray them, fill in the details, bring them back to life again, you know, and they'll run lovely on this track. So anyway, the plan is, as I said, I'm going to start building some of the connections here to show you, you know, and you can join me as I build the track up. Now, I'll just run through very quickly. So this track is a little bit different to your normal 00 track in that you've got this center sort of connector that clips in. So you connect the two fish plates either side as normal, and then there's this sort of clip over the top. I'm not actually sure if there's a correct way, whether this part goes under or over. Sometimes they fit really well, sometimes they haven't, but as I say, I've laid all this track so far. It went down in one go. I screwed it down. There's different, you know, you can see the different screws that I've got in there. I want to replace these all with some very detailed small ones so they're not so obvious. You can see that one, there's a Phillips head. I just used what I had at the time. But this all went down in one go. And apart from cleaning it, I haven't had to rejig any of the joints at all. So that's a step up actually on normal 00. So anyway, I'll carry on, put some track down and come back in a minute. So just a couple of things to mention. There's all kinds of track available. You can see here I've got one of the smaller pieces that you would you know, tend to find in the 00 track, which is a little joiner that I'm going to use for one of the sidings here. The other thing, of course, is electronic points and electric decouplers. They're plentiful. They're all over eBay. I don't prefer to use them. As I say, I'm a little bit old school. I prefer these ones with the handle. You get a very positive action. I just like it like that. You know, it's just personal preference. But if you do want to go for these, they are around, and you know, they're fairly straightforward to line up. The other thing I'll just point out is I did pick up, when I said about hitting this with the track, you can see here, here's a piece that was in a pile of good track that had been sorted out, and you can see there, it's all kinked at the end. And then one final thing, whilst you're looking for track, do try and pick up the tracks with the connectors on. These are quite important, especially if you're running quite a big circuit. I've been lucky in the fact that my current is running all the way around and I haven't got a problem. But there might be incidences where you need to run sort of a connection cable to the far side of the track to transfer the current across. So you will need these terminals. Or failing that, yeah, I mean, I guess you could always solder the wires on, but these, if you want to keep it original, this is the connection track from this style. Right, I've added in some track here to create a siding at that end. Continued my crossover through, and then I've added in some extra bits down here where I can park stationary engines. I hope I've left enough clearance, I think I have, for the trains to move around each other. And I'm also hoping that I've left enough room for the O gauge track, but that'll be for another video when I eventually get some. So let's have a go with first of all with the crossover. I'll just bring this engine forward. And that's that's working nicely. So with that all good, what I'll do is I'll change these points over here and also these back here. And let's just see how far down the siding this little engine will go. Not far at all. Okay, bring him back. Let's give him a little bit more juice. Not much further than the crossover. I'll just try that again in case it was... I found that these older engines, they do need a little bit of momentum when they're crossing over tracks or crossing over points. There you go. Oh, and he's stopped there. Right, I'm going to investigate that and we'll try again in a minute. Right, problem sorted, I think. It was seemed to be a sticky fish plate, so replace that. It's the first one I've had actually out of all of the track that I've put down. So let's give that another go. Perfect. Okay. It's not very easy actually watching the train and trying to film at the same time. I've got a camera in my hand tonight, as you probably guessed. It's not the easiest of things. Right, next step, let's put this point back to where it was. And we'll come down here. Actually, I need to run the train past that one first. So I'm ready to test my circuit. Let's see if it will reverse backwards with the power. I wonder if it will cut off a bit quicker. No, perfect. So again, it's sticking a little bit on that point there. So I'm just going to give that track a bit of a clean. It looks really, really dirty. Let's see if that was just a bad piece of track. So, just drag that back to there. And let's try that again. Yeah, dirty track. Okay, I'm just going to clean the rest of that one. Okay, bring that back forward. Give it a bit of persuasion. Okay, let's give that a proper go this time, and it's just perfect. Okay, so the next bit I'm going to do is I'm just going to check these other sidings and see if they work, and then we'll try the train through them again. I think there's quite a bit of dirty track because I haven't cleaned this bit yet, so you can see on here, I don't know whether that shows up on the camera, but this is quite badly corroded. As I say, it's really hit and miss when you buy this stuff off of eBay. And you know, it all needs a very good clean. Once you've cleaned it, it seems to be quite robust. I mean, it does stick on the points. You know, these, you know, engines, as I say, need a little bit of momentum to get across any crossovers or points. You can't crawl them across, but you know, they're 60 odd years old, so yeah. In the last half hour, I've actually learned quite a few things about this old style 3-rail track. So first and foremost, I assumed these pieces here were connection points, and once I got my proper glasses on, and after wondering why the train wouldn't run across them, I don't know if it shows on the camera, but you can see the centre rail breaks. So this is actually a circuit breaker. So once that was removed, that overcame that problem. I've had 2 fish plates that weren't aligned, and one totally broken piece of track that I managed to lay. But after all of that, hopefully now we have a motor that quite happily runs around the sidings. I'll just switch that point over. Again, I love these levers. Down there quite nicely. Sorry, the camera again. I'll follow the train. And I'll just switch that one over and let's just check that last circuit. Fantastic. So I'm going to finish off my evening. I'm just going to screw down these pieces of the track. That'll be it for tonight. Tomorrow, or maybe later in the week, I've got some buffer stops to fit on the sidings. I might be a bit more adventurous. I'll get this circuit wired in properly so both controllers are working different circuits, and then we'll give it a go with some proper express trains and see if the rolling stock runs around nicely. Final things, I've got another video coming up where I've got a Metcalf kit. I'm going to make some platform sections to go over the far side there. We'll do that on the bench, and yeah, I hope it's been interesting. Thank you for joining me.